You're listening to another episode of the Anna Vivo podcast. Thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Anna Vivo podcast. We are live on the air, coming to you from the cozy home office, my home office, and we are joined today by none other the famous, local, and wonderful real estate broker, real estate professional, mother of how many? Four. Woo! Rachel Bennett of Coldwell Banker, and she is amazing. She is a broker of many, many years, and I'm honored to have her on the show today. We are going to be talking today about a topic that some of you have asked questions for. If you are a first-time listener here, you can always send your questions in to me direct at tim.c.miller@outlook.com, and we will try to answer those questions for you. So one of the questions is, hey, I'm interested in real estate. I want to become a real estate agent or a real estate broker. I want to get into the industry. What does that look like? What's all involved? And if you know my father, shout out to Clay Miller here, he has an entire several-hour process on what that looks like, and a sit-down talk and walking people through, and just a great trainer in getting people into real estate from his perspective. And he's been doing this for 20-plus years, and so has a lot of great experiences there. And so Rachel and I are going to touch on some of that. We're going to touch on our own experiences, and we're going to be sharing some things that people really don't think about. And so one of the things that I hear often is, it's so easy. you can make so much money. Oh, it's so easy. The sky's the limit. And that's true, right? But
it is true, but it's layered.
And
there's a lot more layers to it.
And what they don't tell you is there's also no floor.
No floor.
You can fall as far as you want to.
Yes. Yep.
So why don't you share with us, Rachel, maybe some of the expenses or some of the general process, startup costs and things like that for someone that says, I should probably budget before I get into this, or I should save up something, or do I need to save up or anything, or am I paid a paycheck? Like some people don't realize that this is a 1099 contract, yes, independent contractor position. So
no, there's a lot of misleading information out there, which makes it sound like it's going to just be an assured income. But no, you have to be driven. You have to be ready to hit the ground running every single day and actually build your own business from the ground up.
Yeah.
And that is regardless of whatever company you end up signing with, you have to do the work.
Right.
It is nothing's handed to you.
Yes.
So, I mean, you might get referrals. That's kind of like being handed to you, but we'll get into that later. So first off, just to back up a little bit, I got into real estate myself as a mom, looking for something that I could do and be my own boss. Ooh. Because having children...
Are you not your own boss of the four children?
I am definitely the boss of the four children, but I needed income, and I needed it not to be a 9-to-5 kind of job.
Yes.
Because I needed the flexibility.
Right.
If my children were sick.
Right.
I didn't want to have to take a sick day to take care of my kids. I wanted to be able to work around life, not have to work my life around a job.
And you're crushing it, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
As a mom of four, doing this as a full-time job also.
Well, we'll see what kind of issues they bring up in therapy in 20 years, but for now, I feel like, we're doing okay.
Yeah, we're all right. I'm not crying. I'm okay.
I'll get you a tissue. So I was considering before I got into real estate, okay, I've got a young kid. What can I do with a young child? I felt like my only option was either work a night shift somewhere and never see my husband or child, or open a daycare, because everyone keeps having kids and somebody needs to watch those kids.
May as well be me.
I know, that's what I thought I was going to do. I was a nanny for years, and I loved being a nanny. That was one of the best things I could be doing in my 20s.
Yeah.
And then my husband and I moved to Whidbey Island, and it was like, okay, wherever I go, whatever I do, I'm going to be starting over with either new nanny clients or something. And what am I going to do with my daughter during that time? And so we thought, well, I guess I could watch other people's kids out of my home, could open a daycare, do all this stuff. And then I met my amazing mentor, Marissa Evans, because she became my realtor.
Shout out to Marissa.
Yes. Big shout out to Marissa. So she looked at me and was like, you could totally rock it as a realtor. And I was like, really? I had always thought, you can't make an income worth living off of with a commission-based job.
Sure.
And so she quickly put that concern to rest with just walking me through the steps. And so I met with her, and she told me in her own little sit-down class that she did, how to become a realtor. And so I was like, okay, so let's, what did she tell me to do? She said, first off, you got to be saving up some income because you're going to have several months before you'll probably see your first closing. She, at the time, with the market conditions, what they were back then, she said, plan for 3 months from when you start full-time real estate or part-time if you are only going to be doing it part-time.
Yeah.
At least 3 months before you're going to see your first paycheck.
Right.
And so we planned accordingly for that. We knew that, okay, we're going to have some startup costs. And she walked me through, hey, in this state, it's, you're going to have realtor fees from the beginning. Which is, about $700 for that first, for every year.
Yeah.
And those dues are an annual expense.
Right.
And then there was Rockwell University. I'm trying to remember what Rockwell cost. Do you remember what it cost?
It was a couple hundred.
Yeah, it was I want to say it was like maximum $500.
Online or in-person training facility out of Seattle that trains you to get your one of the many options to get your real estate license.
Yeah, it was a great program. I did it at my own pace. It was a 90-hour clock hour class. I did fully online. I know some people have chosen the in-seat option.
Yeah.
And so it took me what felt like a lot longer than 90 hours to get through it with a young child. So that's the other thing is to set your expectations that it's not going to be done in a few weeks.
I'll be rolling in money.
You're not going to put in 40 hours a week and be done in a short amount of time. So it takes a little while to get through Rockwell or the other online schools. I don't know what the other online options are. I highly recommend doing some research, talking to people who have done different programs, compare the different costs. But I always say, take Rockwell. It's going to be painful. There's times when you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is so slow. This is taking me forever to get through it. Or this is the weirdest information I've ever heard. How am I going to remember all this?
Yeah.
You study. It's not easy to get through that 90-hour course.
Right.
But it can be done. And, if you're fast, I'm not fast. Some people can knock it out really quickly. Others, some people will take up to a year to get through Rockwell just because they're going through it very slowly and trying to retain every piece of information.
Yeah, I think that's a good pause real quick on the course information is that you don't need to retain all of that information. It's all these hours and all this course material for stuff that, and in this case, we're talking specifically for Washington State.
Yes.
But and every state has their own method of to the madness of what's required for your license, but there's a lot of information that you are tested on that you'll never again use in your life, like I think most things in the academic world.
Yes.
And so it's okay to just go through and then study the flashcards, do the quizzes and practice for the exam, because then your bread and butter of the industry will be on the job training.
Exactly. It was all take this course, get this licensing, pass the state and national test, and that costs money as well. I want to say it was
a couple hundred
$100 to take the test, and if you had to retake it, you had to pay again, and then you have some licensing fees themselves, which is another couple $100. So
and fingerprints,
all of these you have to get fingerprinted. They want to make sure that you don't have any felonies keeping you from being legally allowed to practice the law of real estate.
Yeah,
because we are limited lawyers. We are licensed to execute these contracts for clients, and they need to know that the people they are putting in these positions are, safe people to put in strangers' houses.
Sure. Yeah. What are some other startup costs for someone just coming in, or in your case?
In my case, everyone is going to have some different startup costs depending on which branding and which firms they decide to sign up with. Some don't need to have as much because they have such a big sphere of clients ready to call them up and use them in a heartbeat. Thankfully, my first clients were dear friends of mine, so I didn't have to get all of my signage. I had my business cards right away. I didn't have to buy all the logo wear and have all of the materials printed and done just to get my first client. So a lot of it is up to you on how much you want your startup costs to be.
Right.
If you want to have listings right away, you got to order your listing signs and make sure you pay for those. And, those can be a few $100
Yeah.
just to get some of those. Let's see, the business cards, headshots. You need to have a professional headshot. This isn't something you want to go.
Which is a photo of your head for
Yes.
those confused.
think driver's license, but nicer, less creepy, not psychotic eyes like they always tend to be.
You want people to trust you and use
Yes.
you.
So I don't recommend you take your favorite selfie and turn that into your professional headshot on business cards. I recommend that you would hire somebody who's really great at photography, or if you had a friend who's just excellent at it, that's professional.
Yeah.
If you have somebody who can produce a professional grade photo for you to put on your business cards and use in your marketing,
Right.
that is going to do wonders for you.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I had a great friend who was a photographer who had also done my maternity shots. And so I knew she was going to be able to make me look awesome and beautiful. And that gave me the confidence to walk up to a stranger and give them my business card.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, so those are some generic startup costs, as you mentioned, Rachel. It will be different for everybody depending on how you're going to run your business. I think the big takeaway from all of this is if you're interested in starting the real estate journey or getting into real estate, find somebody who is doing it that you value, that you trust, that you like the way they're doing it, and then ask them to mentor you and to walk you through this, because it is going to be totally different, unique. The beauty of real estate as a 1099, as a contractor, is you can run it almost any way you want to within the bounds of the law and ethically. I mean, there's like so many different ways to run your business, run your company in the real estate world. And everybody does it differently. And so finding someone to kind of walk you through all the specifics. You mentioned, though, several times, though, different firm costs or different firm things. What does that mean, the firm? And what does that mean, like looking around or having to do that? Can you not just get your license and do your own thing?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that question, because I can see how that would have been very confusing.
You're so affirming.
So different firms mean different real estate companies. Like there's major brands all over the world, and then there's local boutique style firms that we call them. And so depending on the feel you're looking for, you want to interview and find out the different vibe, the different, mission statements for, what different firms are going to offer you as far as a business model, who's going to give you the kind of support you want or leave you alone if you want to be left alone to do your own thing, as you said, within the bounds of the law. So
within the bounds of the law, yeah.
Any place that what we call hang our license, they become responsible for us, especially in that first 2 years. So you want to make sure that you're going to be a good fit for each other. So they are not pushing you directions that you're not comfortable, and that you want them to be mentoring you and pouring into you. Some companies offer different support products for different startup brokers. Some companies will pay for your first few signs. Some will pay for your business cards. Some will offer headshots. Look at what different companies offer you and see which one is going to help you get your business started. Because having some of those expenses taken away is game changing.
Yeah.
Also find out, what kind of hours are you going to be able to dedicate to being in the office. Make sure that the leadership and you are on the same page. Also make sure that what you call ethics and what they call ethics line up with each other, because they're going to be involved in a very serious aspect of your life. So you want to make sure that you're not going to be clashing over something.
Right.
Because there's some broad definition of ethics out there. You take fair housing classes and yep, that's ethical, that's not ethical. And then in individual transactions, there's times when things come up that are messy. Real estate can be a very messy world.
Emotional world.
A very emotional world at times. And so you want to make sure that the company that you are aligning with has your back and you have theirs, because we are all a team together to collaborate and work together to make real estate less messy. Make it something that is worth celebrating and is awesome. Less stress. We don't need to go at it with dog fights every time. There's times when we have to, assert ourselves, but, we can be kind professionals in this industry without becoming weak. So
preach it.
yes.
I love it. Yeah. So the takeaway from there is that you, the prospective new agent, are
Mm-hmm.
a 1099 independent contractor and you are interviewing the firms. You are
Yes.
not going to the firm to be interviewed
No.
like you would a job. This isn't going to work at some company and they're looking at your resume and making the decision if they want you. You are going to all of these different firms in Washington State in this example and deciding if you want to be partnered with them. Now they're going to
Yeah.
get a piece of your commission, right? So
Yes.
it's incentive for them to always want you.
Yes.
And there are some firms that are more strict than other firms, like, oh, we don't really, your business model isn't the same as ours, and your ethics, yeah, like you mentioned, aren't the same, or the way you want to run real estate is a little different, or you're just too new. There's some firms
Yeah.
that only hire, agents that are more experienced or whatever. And so definitely there are firms that have their own standard of what they're looking for, but by and large, you need to remember that you are the boss in this case.
Yes.
You are going to interview these different firms so that when you bring them business and they get a piece of your financial cut, they're giving you what you want. And so
Yes.
a good example of what you kind of highlighted was in some firms, you may get charged more to work there, but they provide a lot of things for you. They
Yes.
provide your photography or your signs or your marketing or whatever, versus other firms may charge you a lot less to work there, but you're very much on your own.
Yes.
You're a la carting kind of your services and things like that. So you just have to keep that in mind as you interview different firms and decide how you want to run your business. And is it okay to change firms? Once you hang your license with that firm, are you stuck there forever?
You are definitely not stuck there forever. One of the wonderful things about this industry is that if you at some point decide that this is no longer the right fit for you, you are able, it's very easy to do so, transfer your license to a different company. There's a few pieces of paperwork and there's a little bit of a process, and then you have to, get yourself marketed to that new branding.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be a very seamless transition, especially
Yes.
when it's business. It's not a personal thing. So it's,
Right.
it can feel personal at times, but
Sure.
it's a business decision, and you at different times might need something different of how you run your business. Maybe it's a costs thing. Maybe where you were at, you didn't need as many of the resources that particular firm was offering you at the time. And you looked at the dollars and you're like, okay, I don't need to be spending all of this money here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to look into another location that might have a different incentive package for me.
Right.
And so then, it's never easy to make that change emotionally, because when you're at a brokerage, especially one, if people are in the office together a lot and you're hanging out and spending time together, it can begin to feel like a family. And it is. And so the real relationships stay with you, though. That's the big thing, is those who are meant to be your friends carry on with you for the rest of your lives, and you keep doing life together and you collaborate with each other like we are doing.
Would you say that's the case?
That's our
for
case.
us?
Yes, it is our case. We started out at the same firm around the same time together, and right around the same time, it was 6 years later, we both were looking for some changes, because we were both in different places in life than we were when we first got licensed.
Mm-hmm.
And so we both landed at different companies with total different visions of how to run the business.
Mm-hmm.
But here we get to sit together and have great collaboration.
Yeah.
And still work together great on transactions, and we have
Mm-hmm.
a great time doing it. And we attend each other's family birthday parties. How cool is
Yes,
that?
we do.
Yep.
Thanks for inviting
we're
me.
still family.
Yeah, that's a good point. You work alongside people as independent contractors, and you're getting really into the messy part of life with people. So there's a lot of trust. There's a lot of depth that is built with your colleagues as fellow professionals that bond you over time, and it is a hard thing to do, to make a change like that. But as you mentioned, the friendships that are true friendships stay with you regardless of the firm that you're at. It can be hard because, like you mentioned, you build up all these relationships, you build up this time, and maybe it's even the place you started at, and so you kind of grew up. You grew up there, and so
you spread your wings for the first time.
Or in my case, you have a father that works at that firm, and so it's like, oh, you're leaving the actual family. But
I know.
But yes, I think it's an important takeaway here is that by law, you are the independent contractor. It's your license. You go hang it wherever you want. And if you want to start your own firm, that is okay too. That's the next step we'll talk about here in a second. But you have to hang your license at a firm, whether it's one in existence or one that you've started.
You cannot practice real estate law without having your license hung at a firm.
At a brokerage firm. And so, and you are the owner of that, not them. So if it's time for you to leave for business reasons, personal reasons, whatever reasons, it's okay to do so.
Yes.
And always be exploring other options, because there are other firms out there. There's hundreds of firms out there.
Yeah.
And they all cater to very, very, very specific ways of doing real estate and very, very, very specific niches of real estate and clients. And so it's okay to grow and learn more about yourself and your business. And then if the firm that you're at can't provide that change, great, go do it somewhere else. This is your business. So
exactly.
So Rachel and I started together. We both left and are at separate firms now and still are friends.
Yes.
It's
forever.
not as competitive. There's a lot of movies and media out there that you see, and maybe even for those of you listening in bigger cities, and it looks very competitive. It looks very cutthroat. Wolf of Wall Street, people just going crazy. And there certainly are firms out there that promote that kind of environment and work, but I don't know. My experience has not been, by and large, has not been that way at all, especially when you're a professional. I mean, it's a mindset of abundance, not a mindset of scarcity. And if you have
there's more than enough business to go around to everyone.
Yeah, all boats will rise. And so it's way better to, your clients come and go. Sorry, clients. Your clients come and go. Some of them do become friends, and that's wonderful.
Some of my best friends were my clients first.
But
and now we're besties.
The person you're going to be doing transactions with all the time are your fellow brokers from any of these firms. And so
we're all colleagues.
I'm putting in offers on her listing. She's putting in offers on mine or whatever. And we're all working together in that capacity. So there's got to be a level of professionalism and just ethics and integrity that go along with this. So
we all do well when we're all doing well is something that Joe Masolino said to me when I was making the transition. He said, stop into my office and say hi next time you're down here on the south end of Whidbey Island.
Designated broker on the south end.
Yep. Yeah. And so I said, of course, Joe, I'll stop in. And so I did. And, we had a nice, just wonderful little chat.
Yeah.
And it was just so encouraging. He is such an encouraging person.
Yeah.
And so he told me that, and it is something that has resonated with me because when I look at my colleagues in this industry, especially the young women who are young moms who are trying to get a foot into real estate and trying to figure out, how do I do this? How do I juggle being a mom and a businesswoman?
Right.
Because there is enough room for you to be both.
Yes.
But sometimes it's a balancing act of sacrifice to one or the other sometimes, especially as we're figuring out the dance of it all.
I want to come back to that. Yeah.
We will come back to that.
So let's talk about starting your own firm. So you got your license, which, by the way, caveat to this, the real estate industry has a very, very, very low barrier to entry.
Yes.
Not to put anyone on the spot who failed the exam multiple times. If you are someone that has done that, that's okay. But
the test itself is not an easy one. They do a lot of trick questions. The best practice for taking the exam is actually just to take one and let that be your practice test. Just plan that you're going to throw away that first test.
It's a throwaway.
Yep.
But it's 3 weeks of school and an exam and you're licensed.
Yep.
Great. Done. So it's a very low, you think of any other industry and there's all sorts of hours and training and apprenticeships and things like that you have to go through, or schools or different things like that. And so this is a very, very, you don't need a college degree. Are there any prerequisites other than not being a criminal?
I am pretty sure you have to have your GED or high school diploma.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
You might have to have your GED or high school diploma, at least here in Washington.
Pretty sure. But it's been a while since I looked at all those rules. I just knew I met all of them, and I was like, yes.
And that's it. So it's a very, if you can do it, you can do it. And guess what? You don't have to be extroverts like Rachel and I. There's a position that brings us back to this is an industry that serves anybody. You
All
have
personalities.
Yeah, there's teams of real estate folks that run teams, and they have introverts that just want to do the paperwork, or they're really good at the computer stuff, or they're really good marketers or social media experts, or they just want to open the doors and
they just want to do showings.
Take people through the houses or whatever. So there's positions within real estate that you can do all tailored to your personality, which is awesome.
I would say that if you wanted to be a solo agent, it would be more challenging to get your business off the ground unless you have a large sphere of potential clients ready to rally around you if you are more introverted. So
That's fair.
that would be challenging, but it's not impossible. You just have to know each personality type has its weaknesses and its strengths. So you need to know your weaknesses and your strengths that come with you, and then figure out a plan to overcome those weaknesses and strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So overcome the weakness and enjoy the strengths.
And utilize your strengths. Yeah.
Yes, utilize. Thank you.
Well said. So you need to know yourself, know thyself, right? And
yes.
and then obviously if you're an independent broker like Rachel and I, you're going to make more. You're going to get more of that commission or compensation. If you are a part of a team and you're filling a specific niche, the beauty in that is you don't have to do all of the stuff, but you're also only going to get paid the fractional amount that you're doing. And so it comes with its pluses and minuses. But it may also, and again, nothing's fixed in stone. You may know nothing about real estate and you feel more comfortable joining a team because they can teach you, they can bring you up in the world. And there's a lot of teams that's their model, is to bring on new brokers. They know they're going to leave them in a year, but they're going to train them and they're going to use them and they're going to get their worth out of it. And so it's a win-win in that case. And so there's a lot of different ways to do this. The worst thing you can do is let somebody tell you that this is how you do real estate.
Yes.
I know too many people like that are stuck in their own box and say, this is how you do real estate. And what they mean to say is, this is how I do real estate. And this is how it's been successful for me. But there are so many ways to do real estate, and they're all okay if they're legal. They are all
okay if they're legal. Yes. That is a good little disclaimer there. One thing that I love about different firms is that a lot of them have mentorships and training for that first, especially 2 years of a broker's career, because the first 2 years, you're kind of a big liability. You are given this license to sell
with minimal training, 3 weeks of school.
3 weeks of school. So, and it's
you're
not
a walking
you.
liability.
It's not just you, the broker, who's responsible if you mess up. The brokerage can be sued. So the brokerage is taking you on as a liability. Yeah. So a good brokerage is going to have a plan for unseasoned agents. So that's where interviewing the brokerage is, especially if you're brand new to the game, and find out who is going to have the best mentorship for you, who is going to give you the best tools to be able to hit the ground running and do it well and do it, just the right way, not meaning a specific way, but the right way for you.
Yeah.
How are you going to succeed? Because if you succeed, that brokerage succeeds. They want you to be the best possible broker that you can be. So they're going to come alongside you. They're going to pour into you. They're going to delegate staffing to help you with different parts of the process. They're going to introduce you to managing brokers who are more seasoned, who are ready to take you under their wing as a mentor.
Right.
Because a lot of the agents who have been doing this for a long time, a lot of them are getting tired. They want to go sit on a beach for a month in December and not have to worry about their businesses. So they want some of these younger agents to come into this office that they can help mentor and pour into and know that they have somebody that can facilitate their referrals when they want to go sit on the beach or want to go golfing or want to just travel the world. One of the wonderful things about real estate is our referral programs. Yes. We can refer, you and I have referred business back and forth. We can refer a client if we're not able to either take on the business at the time or if it's an area of real estate we're not comfortable. We can refer that client to a specific broker who's going to be a great team up for them. So if someone is heading towards retirement or somebody is in over their head on something, we get to refer that client to them and get to have part of that commission, that compensation afterwards.
Right.
So there's so many, as you said, so many ways to do real estate. My goal someday when I'm old and gray is to be a referral partner and just be like the matchmaker,
Hey.
Yenta from Fiddler on the Roof, but for real estate.
We need to talk more.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. The worst thing that you can listen to from someone is for them to say, this is the way to do real estate. So I want to come back to, first I want to get into now this, you want to open up your own brokerage. So you get your license, you're an independent broker. You've got to do that for 3 years in Washington State. And then they had a 2-year mark at some point, but you'll have renewals on your license every couple of years.
Yep, every 2 years.
That you do your education again. You don't have to take the exam, but you do your education.
Yeah,
again.
It's like 30 clock hours, and there's all sorts of programs out there just for getting your license renewed, and then you take elective classes. There's a lot of branch owners who have become trainers who have gotten the licensing they needed to teach continued education.
Yeah.
As brokers, we're constantly taking classes for our continued education for our renewals.
Yeah. And for the benefit of our clients.
Yes, exactly. But also for the benefit of our clients. My favorite thing to do if it's a slower time of year, and when COVID was huge and we were all at home and we were so limited on our business, is I took so many classes over Zoom just so I wouldn't go insane. And it was awesome.
Because we got so much more.
I learned a lot, and we got to see faces on a screen, which now I hate Zoom. Yeah. But locked myself in a room and learned things. But it was a beneficial thing to come from a horrible time.
Yes. Yeah, so you'll do that as an agent, as an independent broker, and then if you want to, you can take your managing brokers courses and exam. And so,
and that's is that another 90-minute or 90-hour program?
Another 90 hours. You're going to do more. 90-minute program.
Feels like 90 minutes, right?
Yeah, it feels like 90. Another 90 hours, another couple exams, and then fingerprinting again and fees, and you're a managing broker. And what that allows you to do is to manage other brokers, just like it sounds, but it also, which then allows you to open up independent branches of brokerages, but it also allows you to become what we call a designated broker, which is the head broker, for lack of better words in my mind.
The boss man or woman.
For a particular firm. So you're tired of working at firm A and you want to open up ABC Little Timmy's real estate office or whatever. And so you can do that. Now you can do that. So you need that experience. You need that time in rate, as we say in the Navy, or you need that time in your job and your exam and then and your licensing, and then you can do that. So there is a way to do that. And there's pros and cons to opening up your own mom and pop brokerage. We have a lot of them here on Whidbey Island. There's a lot of mom and pop brokerages that do really well, and there's a lot that don't. And so it really just depends on how you want to run your business. Again, you can run it any way you want there, and you get to be the one who then hires on other brokers, and they will pay you to come work there. And so that's one model, is to open up your own named brokerage. Another model is to open up your own franchise of a larger firm.
Yes.
For instance, you're at Coldwell Banker, and where you work is a phenomenal place to work here, and they just acquired a new office in Anacortes.
We are now on Island and Fidalgo.
Yeah, which is super awesome and very cool. And it's a franchise model where the designated broker is buying essentially franchises from larger Coldwell Banker as a national company who's owned by Realogics.
Now they are Anywhere.
Anywhere, is that their name?
That's their new name.
It's like Alphabet with Google. I don't know.
Yes.
Anyway, so they have these the designated brokers then can buy up or start other offices within the limits of that particular company. And have a franchise model that way.
Yes.
Or there's companies that are publicly traded, for instance, Redfin or Compass, where I'm at, or there's some other like online tech companies like EXP or something like that have different model or different brokerage styles. And so again, it's all just totally independent and based on where you are and what you want to do with your career. But the biggest advice is finding someone who's doing it that you like and that's doing it well, and have them coach you or mentor you. I would say there's an asterisk there. Some companies, and I will name drop them, Keller Williams and EXP. There's a few others out there. Some companies will are incentivized to mentor you and incentivized to recruit you to their company because it's sort of an Amway. I don't know. That's kind of negative to
Pyramid
say,
scheme?
but it's not a pyramid scheme. But there is a downline. There's a pipeline, is what they call it, or downline of hey, if they bring you on and you bring on 7 more people, you get they get a part of your commission, and you get and other people you bring on, that person who brought you on gets a part of their commission, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a cool thing and a good thing in that it helps a company like Keller Williams or EXP expand really quickly. You can bring on all these people because you're incentivized financially to do so.
Yes.
And it's a good thing because you as a brand new broker are then taken under someone's wing and you're trained and you're brought on. So none of that is negative necessarily, but I would say when you're going to look for people to train you and mentor you, be cautious that they may not be doing it out of the goodness and purity of their heart exclusively.
Yes. No,
is a fair thing to say.
Yes. No, there's some serious benefits to those kinds of programs. Coldwell Banker is just launching their own kind of a referral, incentive for bringing in, new brokers as well, because they see that works.
Yeah.
We want
growth
to bring growth in, but it's not going to come at the expense of the person you're bringing in.
Cool.
And so there are those programs out there. So ask those hard questions, though.
Right. Yeah.
Make the managing brokers of those firms work for you and tell you why that you should be there.
Mm-hmm.
Let them prove to you that they are the right fit for you. And so, make them take you out for coffee. That's great,
Right. And we should also say, none of this, what we're talking about, is legal advice or giving you in any way should be construed as legal advice.
No.
But when we said you are a 1099 and you can get up and leave at any point, that is by and large true. But there are some independent teams or independent companies that do make you sign what they call clawback clauses or contracts, that if you sign up with them and you decide to leave within a year, you have to pay back the training dues or X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. And so just be cautious of, hey, when you're interviewing these people, do it and definitely ask those hard questions.
Yes.
But don't sign anything until you've read through. You're getting ready to represent people by and large doing contracts. So make sure you know how to read contracts.
When you join a firm, you're going to be signing a contract with that firm,
right?
Allowing them to bring you under their wing. And all of that is going to be in writing. It is a legally binding contract that can be, dissolved at any time, but it is, each year you should be signing a new contract for that year that just keeps going with what your current compensation plan is at and where your current, all the different rules of your licensing with them.
Yeah.
So that way there is no question if they did have a payback plan of some sort or it will be in writing. It might be small print, so make sure it's, big enough. Take your magnifying glass, read, go around the edges.
So for those of you listening that are saying to yourself, why am I listening to this episode? And I don't want to be an agent. I'm listening to this because I told Tim I would listen to his episode. Thanks, Mom. What I want to point out here is the next episode will be for clients and how to find the right agent. And so I think this is an important topic. If you don't even want to be an agent, this is an important topic for everyone because you kind of get to peek behind the curtain and see how the real estate world works and know that it's not as simple as just Googling best agent near me, because there are a variety of different methods and styles and compensations and things you're going to get for selling your home or buying a home and paying and receiving, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's no such thing as a one size fits all client, and therefore there's no such thing as a one size fits all agent. And so a good example of that is we've used the word agent and broker multiple times here. What does that even mean?
It's the same thing, essentially.
It is.
But there are different levels and different types of brokers. Like there's designated broker, managing broker. here in Washington State, we call me just an agent, also a broker.
Right.
But other states have designated that out where if you're called a broker, it means you're the head guy or gal, that you are the broker who runs the show.
Right.
Bit.
Yeah. So for our clients that are coming here to NAS Woodby Island, military clients, and they're coming from another state, and maybe they had an agent that did a horrible job there selling their house, and now they're like, oh, I don't want an agent, I want a broker. Well, great, you're in luck. We're all brokers.
Yes. That's why I often refer to myself as a realtor versus agent or broker, because that is a term that...
What does that mean?
Well, that's a great question. I actually am part of a realtor association, as are you, where we pay dues each year towards them, and they with that it shows our clients that we take our licensing very seriously. We put funds towards legal actions that are happening to protect realtor and client rights, to keep this industry ethical and smooth running. If there is an issue between me and another realtor, we can take it to some higher ups who can actually help us settle those disputes if there's an issue. It's holding your license at a higher standard of ethics than what just your firm or you yourself would hold yourself to.
Right.
So they do great things. I've barely even tapped into all the benefits of being a realtor, but it is something that...
And you've been doing this a long time.
I have been doing this a long time. And so it's, there's so many benefits to it. Talking to somebody who's deeply involved in it can give a lot more insight than I am able to provide at this time. But it's a great designation to be able to put next to your name to help describe who you are in this industry.
Right. And we'll go into that the next episode when you're looking for, the next one will be geared towards clients looking for and shopping for real estate professionals. And what does that all mean? What should you look for in terms of a realtor or just a real estate person or professional? So we'll go into some of the details of that. But yes, there's a lot of confusion in the real estate world, and rightly so, because it's the Wild West. There's not a whole lot that's standardized.
No.
And it is state by state, and even county by county, and even sometimes city by city, and definitely brokerage by brokerage. So, when this one being geared towards the person wanting to become an agent or broker, it will vary by state. And as you mentioned, Rachel, it's here in Washington, you will be a broker. We say agent interchangeably, but the term is broker.
Yes.
And then designations are little chiclets or little tags that you can get associated to your name that are classes that you get and courses that you take that then give you a certification.
Yes.
On top of just being a broker. For instance, you mentioned realtor being a level of, it's basically a realtor. The realtors, the National Association of Realtors, are a union essentially that we all who want to be associated with the realtor life are paying dues to support. And in turn, we also are then, as you mentioned, held to a higher state of ethics than other non-National Association of Realtor folks. And so that kind of gives people shopping for real estate agents or brokers a better peace of mind in that. But some other examples of designations could be...
Like you might have a designation in senior citizens. I can't remember all of these different designations and how they appear next to your name, so you'll have to just bear with me on it.
Yep, there you go. Residential.
Yep, and then there's military residential specialists. Mm-hmm. And then if you're commercial, you're going to have a commercial designation if you want to sell commercial real estate, which is a whole nother, bunch of potatoes that I am not doing.
A whole bunch of potatoes. You heard it here first. It was always funny to me. I don't know if funny is the right word. It was always, funny to me when I got into real estate, how highly fellow real estate agents and brokers took themselves with how many designations they had listed after. And what's hilarious to me is, as a client, and as most of you listening that are clients and not agents, you would see a name, Rachel Bennett, for example, and you'd see 16 other letters in different things after her name, and you'd like, I have no idea what this means. And
is she a doctor? What?
Like nobody has any idea what any of this means. And honestly, by that point, nobody cares, right? Like they're using you because they know you and they want you and for
I look
your
forward
stuff.
to our next session where we'll talk about, how to pick a realtor or how to pick an agent, because that is where it really comes down to. Is going to be the individual person, not how many letters
Things
they
you
have next to their name.
And for
It's
those of you listening that have that, that's totally okay. And you want
we're not dissing you in any way.
I mean, you earned it, right? Like
Yeah,
you
you
should
earned
put
it.
it there. You should have it in your title. And if you want to do that and market it that way among your colleagues, then that's absolutely, again, real estate's personal. It's how you should do it. It was just funny to me because even me then as a new broker had no idea what they meant. And even after I learned what they all meant, I was like, none of this matters. Like I'm a real estate specialist. I mean, a military specialist because have the experience of working with so many VA or military specific clients. The class, the 30-hour class that you get that from or whatever, mentions a few of those things and is good for people that have no experience in that whatsoever. But it should not be a determining factor in how you run your business or if it's important to you. It's just the bottom line here is you can make as much as you want. That's true. But as I said in the beginning, you can also fall as far as you want. And all of these classes eat into that cost. So you don't need it.
No, you really don't. And that's, I think, one of the things that the industry has changed so much since you and I both got our licenses.
That's true. Yeah.
We entered in at a very slow moving time where homes were sitting on the market longer and bidding wars were
people were still
kind of
using
rare.
Paper MLSs.
People were, yeah. Some still do. But like we came in at a time where we could kind of casually pick up our business. We could do, we were able to ease into it and learn a lot.
Yeah.
We were able to soak up the education part of it, and that gave us our firm foundation. Because everything we didn't retain, which was most from our online schools, we got to learn hands-on from people who had been doing this for a very long time. So that was what gave us that foundation we needed to be able to soar and be able to fly. But if we weren't going to be go-getters, we're going to be sitting there stagnant and not going anywhere. And it's like quicksand, like if you're not getting out of that quicksand, you're going to sink. Yeah. So, get out of the quicksand. So you have to really be ready to wake up and show up and work your tail off. And some seasons of life will allow for that better than others. But you have to figure that out for yourself. What does that look like? What does success look like for me? For some people, success is a few transactions a year. And that is all that they want to do each year. And that is a successful year for them. And awesome job, guys. Others, they want to be doing 2 transactions, 3 transactions, 7 transactions a month, and that is a successful year for them. Right. So everyone's level of success is going to be different, and it's individual. We're not competitors. We're collaborators. Ooh. So we get to help each other reach our own goals, and we are not going to all sync together. We're not going to all fly together. We got to, but we have to help each other as we get through those goals. Yeah. So my goals are going to look different than yours, but we help each other. We help each other's businesses grow through our referral partnerships. And I lost my train of thought.
Well, you unintentionally segued right into how I wanted to end this, which was that happy medium balance between work and life, and why this job, to end on a high note, is one of the greatest industries you can get into, is because it's so malleable, because it's so tailorable, because it's so flexible and unique to how you want to do business. Yes. You can make it accomplish the goals you want, and however that looks like. Mom of 4.
Yes.
Myself, who likes to travel with my wife and kids.
Yeah.
Like whatever that looks like, your success is totally dependent on you. And that is terrifying.
Yes, it is.
It is like, oh man, it is all of me. Unlike almost any other career field where you're just there to put in the time and you get paid, salaried position or wage position. This is, you're making as much as you put into it. And
there's no income cap in this industry.
And so the balance part of that is why this is so crucial. A lot of folks come into real estate as a second career.
Yeah.
And they've got a pension from a previous, military retirement or a different job, or they were doing something differently and now they're in this. And unfortunately, that sort of jades or causes them to treat real estate in the same way, like, oh, if I just show up, somebody will pay me, or I'll do this, or I'll be successful, which is not true. Or they don't know when to stop because they've been rat racing this whole time. And that's typically what we see a lot of in this industry are folks that just don't know how to say no. And when the phone rings or the text happens, they're on the floor with their kids, or they're on the beach, the well-earned vacation, and they still pick up that phone, or they still...
I'm guilty of that.
They still look at their phone instead of the kids, or they still do whatever, and that they don't know how to time block. They don't know how to shut that off.
That first few years was the hardest to just shut it off.
Right.
My husband has been very good at encouraging me to shut it off. Like, hey, nobody expects you to get back to them at this hour.
Yes.
And it's like, okay. There are some situations where it's like the client is working night shift, or the only time of day they can reach you is
in the middle
evenings.
of a contract right now and there's something crazy happening.
Sometimes we are negotiating at midnight.
Great.
And that's okay.
Do that. But by and
not
large,
every day. Yep.
You don't need it.
Set the boundaries
Set the expectations.
as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, go on vacation. If you can, have somebody run your business for you while you're gone so you can just be present on your vacation.
Right.
The wonderful thing about this industry, though, is I could be in Maui on the beach dropping signature spots on an addendum if I needed to, where it takes 30 seconds away from my family to do something like that. If I didn't have somebody running my business for me and we did a spontaneous trip, I can run my business from anywhere in the world as long as I have people who can be my boots on the ground when I need them to, or if things are slower, or if it's just, it's Christmas time and it's thankfully a slower time of year most of the time.
Right.
So it's, now we're past Christmas, but there's different times of the year that give you more flexibility too.
Right.
But I like to go camping with my family, and thanks to Starlink, I'm going to be able to take my internet with me into the wilderness. And
Shout out to Elon Musk.
Thank you, sir.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's the dream, is being able to not put my business down, but to be able to be spontaneous and take my kids on adventures. And yes, mom might have to do 30 minutes of work. I might have to negotiate a contract, but that is a minuscule amount of my whole life compared to how much more time I'm able to pour into my kids.
Right.
So I'm not giving 40 hours every single week. Some weeks I'm giving 80, but it's a give and take, where some weeks I'm able to put down the work and focus in on the kids. And I get to choose that. I can choose where to cap myself off. If I've got too much coming in where I'm like, okay, this is taking up way too much of this week, I might need to bring somebody in. That's where the referral partnerships are huge, because if I need to, I know I've got 50 other amazing brokers who I have been able to work with over the years that I know that I can team what that client would need to a specific person that I know that they will just get along with great and have an amazing experience, one that they'll be celebrating at the end. And I get to still be a part of that as the referral to them. So
right.
It's, there's times when you have to think, okay, when is the time to refer and when is the time to keep it? Because not every client is going to be the client for you, just like you're not going to be the right agent for every client. And so knowing when it is time to match that person with somebody who's going to be there for them the way they need.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a great way to segue into the part 2 that we're going to do. We're going to have several series, and I'm asking you on the air to get your honest answer. Will you come back?
I will.
And do this again.
I'll definitely come back.
We would love to have you. We're going to do a couple parts on, one, how to find the right broker and do that. But also, we're going to go a little bit more in depth for folks that are already agents and kind of how to set that healthy boundary. I feel like we are not the role models for those that are making millions and millions of dollars a year, but we are the role models for those that are successful in our industry because of the ability to set healthy boundaries. So any closing remarks?
Thanks for having me today, Tim. Yeah. This has been so fun.
All right, folks. And as my kids would say,
thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Ana Vivo podcast. We welcome your feedback and ideas. You can learn more about us by simply Googling the word Ana Vivo. This podcast is supported by listeners like you. I am a licensed real estate broker with Compass Real Estate and a nationwide real estate matchmaker. We consult with you for free, find and vet the right real estate professional that specializes in the area and niche you need, are paid by that professional, and they get clients like yourself who want and need their unique specialty or winning track record. If you or someone you know is in the market to buy or sell real estate anywhere in the U.S., don't simply web search the highest paying advertiser. Let us use our licensed experience to find and vet the real and best professional for you. It costs you nothing but a phone call or email with me, and has saved my clients financially and emotionally. I'd be honored to serve, and you can reach me direct by email at tim.c.miller@outlook.com. And as always, to God be the glory.